Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Todd Klindt's SharePoint Netcast number 162, recorded live from a hotel room, July 7th, 2013. I, of course, am your host, Todd Klindt, and frequent flyer and frequent hotel stayer here. So you'll notice this week things are going to be a little wonky. We'll talk about that in the production notes here in a minute. But I'm here, I'm online, I got the chat room over here, I'm watching them, I got my eye on them, though they can't see me, which I think is working to everybody's advantage, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Before we do, though, the reason that I'm here, and literally the reason that I am here instead of 14 hours that way, I think, is that Rackspace. So Rackspace, I'm here in San Antonio right now, the city where the Rackspace headquarters, but also I'm here doing this netcast because of Rackspace. And if you're downloading it because of Rackspace. So go out to sharepoint.rackspace.com, check out all the great SharePoint stuff that we do. If you haven't had a chance yet to to taste the sweet nectar that is SharePoint 2013, you can go out to sharepoint.rackspace.com and sign up for a free trial. We'll give you a site collection. You can get all signed up, see what all the hubbub's about. The folks in the chat room are telling me that today is actually July 8th, though my Surface says July 7th, so I'm blaming this all on Steve Ballmer. It says right here, you guys can't see it, you'll just have to trust me. Right there it says July 7th. But the chat room, everybody agrees it's July 8th. We took a vote, so it's agreed it's July 8th. But go out to Rackspace.com, tell them I sent you. If you get the little chat window, jump in there. If you get lonely, jump in there, chat with those guys, tell them I said hey. But sign up for a free trial, see what all the hubbub about SharePoint 2013 is about, and hopefully you'll find something you love out there out of Rackspace.com. Okay, so production notes. This is probably going to be the longest part of tonight's netcast. Everybody get comfortable. You guys in the chat room right now, get your comfortable headphones on. This is probably going to be a long one. So last week, those of you that were in the chat room heard me whining and kvetching about my hardware problems. So I've got something going on with the desktop box that I record the netcast on. It's got some kind of USB fussiness. And so when I record this, there's a whole lot of things going on. I've got the camera that you guys are looking, that's recording, that I'm pointing at right now, that does the recording, that saves it to a file. I've got another camera that does the streaming video, that's not streaming tonight, but if it were, that would be that. And then I have audio hooked up some way in a USB device fashion. There used to be the little mixer that my microphone came with, and then it was something else. I got a little audio thing. But anyway, that goes through USB also. But for whatever reason, I rebuilt that box, and I don't have all the chipset drivers or something on it. So once I get 2 or 3 USB things going, the USB bus starts to poop out. Now, the funny thing about that is every one of these devices is USB 2, and that box has USB 3, which is like 14 bazillion times the bandwidth of USB 2. You can look that up. It's in the spec. So there should be no problems, but for whatever reason, I don't have everything on there right. I loaded the USB driver and all that, and so that should fix it, but it hasn't. Clearly, I'm not doing that tonight, but when I get home tomorrow, that's what I'll do. I'll check into that. But that's what the problem was last week, and the way that helps, and it's a good thing I've got the chat room here, because when I turned the second camera on, the audio got all scratchy, and that's one of the symptoms of the audio going out, the USB bus being a problem. So thanks to all those folks for getting that out to me. Let me know. Went with some alternative audio tonight. I'm just using the audio, I think, on my Surface or something. I don't know. But that's the problem. So I'm close to having that figured out. Also, last week you'll notice that I did a little something different, a little something with the intro. Added a little flair to that. So let me know what you think about that. I kind of spruced up my beginnings. And also, when I did the URL links, I threw a lower third down to give me a better background. Because before I was trying to do it with the sheet this behind my head and trying to match the white on the black. It was a big mess. So I just put a lower third down and then put the URLs in that. So unless you guys complain a lot, that's probably how I'll keep doing it. It just looks better, looks more professional, looks less like a 12-year-old's doing it in their basement. Though honestly, if a 12-year-old was doing it in the basement, it'd probably look better than this 39-year-old doing it in his basement. But just trying to up it a little bit, make it look a little better. So by all means, give me any kind of feedback you had about that. The new intro, the new URLs, all that stuff. Let me know what you think. This week, I'm already going to go ahead and do part of this week's production notes right now, because I've kind of alluded to it already. I'm traveling. I am in San Antonio, like I said, to come hang out with some folks at Rackspace. And I decided to do something new for the very first time this week, something I've never done before. I'll be honest, I'm a little scared. This is uncharted territory for me. It took a while to talk myself into this, but I'm traveling without my regular laptop. And so normally when I travel and I do this Netcast, and you guys have seen me do it from the castle and other places, I have a Dell 15-inch laptop that I did it on. I've got all the software loaded, hook everything up to that. It overheats. Everybody has a good time with that. That's normally what I travel with. But this week I'm only here a couple of days, and I've got these Microsoft Surfaces that I got a month ago at TechEd, and they're pretty good little devices. And so I decided that I was just going to travel with my Surfaces. I wasn't going to bring my laptop. So I've got a Surface Pro, which is this box right here, which has got my notes, which is doing the recording, hopefully, and all that. And it's like a laptop replacement. You know, it's got runs a full version of Windows 8 and all that kind of stuff. But then I also have my Surface RT, which over here I'm broadcasting the live stream with, and I'm in the chat room with. And until the internet connection gave up on me, the RT device was streaming audio, streaming video, doing the chat room and all that. And that's all I brought to San Antonio with me. So we'll see how this all works. Hopefully this is recording the Netcast right now. So I'll actually have a file to edit and all that. The chat room is over here, so I got that. Lynn in the chat room is saying, don't two Surfaces equal one laptop? I don't know. So I will let you guys go out and do the research on this yourselves. My laptop that I normally carry was a Dell 15-inch. It's a crud 4600 or 4400 or something like that. I forget. But when I travel with that, I also travel with a tablet anyway. It used to be an Android tablet. Now it's my RT device. So it would have been the laptop and the RT device. So really I'm swapping out the laptop for the Surface Pro, and the Surface Pro weighs way less than that big Dell does. So we'll try it. The battery life's been good. The functionality so far is good. Watched some movies on the flight over. It was awesome. Still got like 47 hours of battery life on the RT. So everything so far has been pretty good. So we'll see. Like I said, the proof will be when this Netcast gets rendered out and I put it all together. But so far, really loving the pros, or the Surface Pro and RT, and the folks that are at the Worldwide Partner Conference just down the road in Houston, they're getting that same deal that I got at TechEd, where I got an RT device for $99 and the Pro for $400. And great little devices. Big fan. Can't say enough good things about them. So that's the production notes for this week. I'm sure next week I'll have a list of all the things that didn't work, like the video for the folks on the live stream. Though honestly, they're probably all better off for it. Okay, so let's talk about some SharePoint topics. And normally when I do this, I have my notes and the chat room on the same computer. So I just highlighted the link in my notes, and I was going to paste it in the chat room, except that they're two different boxes. You can't cross the streams. Well, I guess I could do it. I got my notes over here too, so we can do that. That way, the folks at home that are streaming along can follow along while I'm talking about all this stuff. So the other thing about this week's production notes is I literally came right here and started this Netcast. So I walked in the door to my hotel room at like 20 after 8, threw my bag down, set my laptops up, and so I don't have as thorough a notes as I normally have. Now that may come as a surprise to a lot of you that watch this Netcast. Normally you're like, he has notes? That's what it looks like when he prepares for it? My God. Yeah, so you're going to find out tonight what it's like when I don't prepare for it, because I just didn't have time to get everything up and going. So the first one was a blog post that came out last week that I read, that I liked. And I'm going to fire it up so I can give the guy proper credit here, this is that whole preparation thing I was just telling you guys about, Hamed, and he did a blog post. I lost everybody. Come back. He did a blog post on doing an completely offline installation of SharePoint 2013. So that's some pretty good stuff. And he started with, he talked about the whole thing, but one of the things that he posted was a Microsoft knowledge base article on how to run all the prerequisite stuff offline. And that's got a couple of sticking points in it. But it also has one thing that's cool is it's got a chunk of PowerShell that turns on all the Windows features that you need for SharePoint 2013 when the configuration wizard runs. So that knowledge base is a really good article for doing offline installations of SharePoint 2013, but it's also very necessary if you want to do a SharePoint 2013 installation on Windows 2012 R2, because right now the prerequisite installer won't run on that. And so you need to do it all manually. And so while this blog post is for doing an offline installation on Windows 2012, it also works for doing an online or offline installation on Windows 2012 R2. So for those of you folks that have already downloaded that and are playing with it, read my blog post about it, want to get your own version of Klindt there up on your screens, you can use that same information. But Mehmed also goes on with his blog post. Let me copy that to the folks in the chat room. I know they're all just dying to see it. Except that's not the thing. OneNote. Come on now. He talks about using that plus some other techniques to do a completely offline installation. He's got the Office web apps, he's got the management packs, he's got all that kind of stuff. So it's just a good little primer on the bits and pieces to getting everything installed offline. And for those of you who are really curious about how much all this weighs, Mark Chrisman in the chat room did all the math for us. The M4600, the laptop I normally travel with, is 7 pounds. The Surface Pro is 1.5 pounds, and the RT is 2 pounds. That must be the other way around. Regardless, it looks like I saved about 5 pounds by not bringing the Dell. So good work, Mark. You get a gold star for today. Well done. So back to Mehmed's blog post. Good stuff to just kind of walk through all that and have all those files in your file servers. Like he talks about the workflow management server, the Azure workflows. It downloads a little stub. It goes and downloads everything else. Well, he walks you through how to install the workflow bit, how to download the whole thing, because obviously it's offline. So that's always a good thing to have locally in case anything ever happens, like you're in a hotel room and you need to install the workflow manager. Just throwing that out there. So good thing. Read that read that blog post. Leave Mehmed some good comments on that. Okay, so here's another one, and this is something that I need to adjust a blog post on. I've got a blog post on how to create a search service application in SharePoint 2013. So the reason that I would do that, you're saying to yourself, well, I can go into Central Admin, create all the search service applications that I want, and it's great and easy. Even a child could do it. And it's true. I know very many childish SharePoint administrators who have no problem creating SharePoint search service applications. But the problem with doing it that way is when it creates all the databases for search, it puts squids at the end, and nobody likes squids. Everybody hates squids. Squids can't get their pets to play with them. They're so hated. So in order to create a search service application without GUIDs in the database names, you need to create it with PowerShell. And so that PowerShell script that I blogged about does all that. But a couple of people have had some problems with it, and it looks like it's had something to do with that script just creates search. And by default, when you create search either in Central Admin or in PowerShell, it puts all of the search roles on the Central Admin box. And then they're just all there. But in most cases, you probably want to break that stuff out. But the problem is you can't do that in Central Admin because that move topology or change topology link is gone in SharePoint 2013. You can do it with PowerShell. So what a few folks have been trying to do with my script is not just create a service application with it. They've been trying to change the service application with it, or try to move pieces around, and that just doesn't work. When you create it, you have to create it that default way, and then you have to go back in and change it later on. And so that's something I need to put in that blog post, but I've got a couple of links that'll be in the show notes, obviously, that explain how to use PowerShell to configure and change your search topology so that you can have, different roles. You can have your crawler run in one place and your admin stuff running in another place, and all that, because that script that I provide in my blog post doesn't do all that. So at some point I'll either blog this separately or maybe put a note at the end of my the first blog post, or maybe both, and then you get to go to 2 places on my blog, so that's awesome. Everybody loves that. But yeah, so remember, it's one piece of PowerShell to create search, and then a completely different piece of PowerShell to reconfigure it, change your topology, and all that kind of stuff. Search has added a lot of cool things in SharePoint 2013. The management bit has gotten a little uglier because it's all PowerShell now. Yeah, so Doug in the chat room makes a good observation that when you the changing your topology for search in SharePoint 2013 is like a very sophisticated PowerShell way of doing copy paste, because that's what you end up doing. You end up taking your default topology and cloning it, and then tweaking that clone and changing it, and then pasting it over top of your existing topology. It's a really non-intuitive arrangement of stuff. So that's why I need to blog it. There's some other blogs out there, but I'll add to the fray. I'll blog it myself. It'll be fun. You'll all love it. The next one, and this is one that I really myself don't give 2 hoots about, but it's something that people have been asking for quite a while, and so when the answer came out this week, I feel somewhat obligated, though a little dirty, doing it. But we all know that Microsoft, for whatever reason, has put a lot of energy behind Yammer. And no one knows what the hell Yammer is supposed to do for us, but we all know we're supposed to use it. We're supposed to like it a lot. But we're not sure how or why, and we don't know really how it bolts into everything, but it's there, and it's a very big deal. Go use Yammer. So one of the things that people have wanted to do for a while is to integrate Yammer, which is exclusively a cloud service. There is no on-premises version of Yammer. You can't install a Yammer server in your data center. But they wanted to find a way to take the cloud Yammer stuff, whatever's out there, I have no clue, I never go to Yammer, and integrate it with their on-premises SharePoint installations. And until now, there was no way to do it, nor any explanation. If you had Office 365, SharePoint Online, there was a way to jiggle it all together, but for on-premises stuff, there just wasn't a way. So last week, Microsoft released a set of instructions on how to integrate Yammer with on-premises SharePoint 2013 installations. And it's kind of an ugly thing. You have to go into your My Sites and your Team Sites and shut off all of the social stuff that comes with SharePoint, and then you need to go into CSS pages and do some really ugly stuff to get the Yammer things in there. But it can be done. I don't know why anybody would do it. I know I certainly won't be doing it anytime soon, but the question comes up a lot, so I wanted to get that out there to the folks that listen to this, let them know that there is a way to do it. I don't know why you would. Maybe you hate your users. Maybe you've been dared. Maybe being bribed. I don't know. But if you need to take your Yammer social junk and work it into SharePoint 2013 on premises, your prayers have been answered. Amen. Now you can do it. Microsoft will tell you how. Another thing, and this is a topic, this is a funny one, because this keeps getting bumped. I was originally going to talk about this like a month ago, but Microsoft has released a whole ton of free ebooks out. Yeah, let me check that URL, make sure it's the right one. A bunch of free ebooks out into the world, and so if you want to load up, and it's great books, it's SQL, it's SharePoint, it's System Center, it's Windows, it's all that. The title of the article is Huge Collection of Free Microsoft eBooks for You. And that originally came out almost a month ago, and I've been meaning to blog it or talk about it ever since. Originally they had planned on, they wanted to have 1 million downloads of all these books. and I just looked at the webpage to make sure it's the right one, and they now have 3.5 million. What you should do is after you have bought my last book, Professional SharePoint 2013 Administration, read it cover to cover, because there's going to be a quiz later, so you don't want to skip anything, because I'll know. So after you've done all that, then you can go out to that URL, and it's an MSDN blog post. It's going to be in the show notes, and then you can go download other stuff. But only after you've bought my book and read my book can you do it. So, but that's out there. That's really great that they're doing that. As an author and a guy who really likes royalty checks, I'm not sure how all that works out. But for you guys, and as a reader, I've downloaded a bunch of them already. They've got EPUB versions, which work on my Kindle. Obviously, they got versions that work on my many sundry Surface devices that are within arm's reach here. So go out there. There's something for everybody out there. It's all good stuff. Doug in the chat room. So I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about Doug before. Doug's a developer, and he's kind of special. He makes odd choices, and so he's got. I'm looking at the web chat here because I don't have my full IRC client, and since I'm not streaming video tonight because of the bandwidth issues at the hotel here, he's watching something else and he pasted it into chat, but I can't see it. I don't know what it is. Doug's a big meanie. I shaved today and everything. So there were some questions in the chat room about whether you could integrate, or I guess the question was about Yammer. Does this work with Newsgator? I don't know. Newsgator does a similar thing, both with SharePoint 2010, 2013, honestly I think 2007 as well, where Newsgator replaced the social aspect of SharePoint. Now with 2013, Newsgator, a lot of the stuff that they did has been replaced by SharePoint 2013's social stuff. But they're branching out, they're doing some other stuff, so I don't know. But if you've got Newsgator questions, one of the guys that sometimes is in the chat room and is a friend of mine just started working for Newsgator. So if you, I'm always looking for a good reason to talk to him. So if you've got any Newsgator integration type questions, send them to me, tweet them to me at Todd Klindt, or email them to me, todd.klindt@rackspace.com, and I'll forward them on to my buddy Blake Olson, who just started working for him, and he'll chase it down and find out the answer. And Doug's in the chat room now. He's all excited because he's special. I don't know that he realizes it's the special kind. He can't see him doing the air quotes right now. The special quotes. All right. So those are all the topics that I had to discuss, and a lot of those were leftovers from last week. If you guys remember last week, I ran over time because I was talking about all the fun that I had at TechEd. So we'll move on now to the self-promotion part, the most important part of tonight's Netcast. Like I said earlier, you can buy my latest book, SharePoint 2013 or Professional SharePoint 2013 Administration. Doing well, having a good time with that. If you haven't bought a copy of it yet, you need to rush right out and do that. Get a copy. It's gonna. They may sell out. Who knows? They may not print more. Who knows how that would work? But you can go if you want to order a copy. You can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever. If you would like to order a signed copy, an autographed copy from me, I bought some from the publisher, and I bought a Sharpie, and I bought some envelopes. So I would love to sign a copy of the book and send it directly to you. I can write whatever you want on it. I can write, sign your name. I can write bad things about Shane. Doesn't matter. To get one of those, go to toddklindt.com/pro-sp2013admin, and there's links on there and about how to buy it through PayPal and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, because of crazy shipping costs, I can only ship those to people in the U.S. Because it gets really expensive to ship those books outside of the U.S. And it's way more expensive than the book is worth. I mean, I could do it, but I would not feel comfortable taking your money for it. So, U.S., if you live in Canada, I can ship it to you, but it costs me a little extra. So if you're in Canada and you want to order a signed copy of the book, shoot me an email, todd.klindt@rackspace.com, or hit me up on Twitter @ToddKlindt, and I'll start that dialogue with you, and we'll figure out what that's going to cost and figure out if you want to pay that for the book. I have shipped a couple to Canada. It can be done. Part of the trek is across the Canadian wilderness on the back of a moose, I understand, but it gets there. I've had 2 or 3 people from Canada tell me they got the book, so the mooses there are very reliable. But for us U.S. folks, that's easy enough too. So, Professional SharePoint 2013 Administration. Last time I looked, it was still the #1 hit on Amazon. If you went in there and did your little search for SharePoint 2013, my little book bubbled up to the top. So let's try to keep that way. Keep buying those copies. That's how I keep up there. Thanks to everybody for that. In a month and a couple of days, me and all my rowdy SharePoint friends, I can't believe it's a month, are going to be in Boston, which I think is that way, but I'm not sure, so we'll pretend that that's that way. That's northeast. Going to be in Boston for SP TechCon, and that's August 11th through we'll say 14th. You can go to sptechcon.com and find out about that. If you haven't signed up yet, sign up for SP TechCon. Go out there. If you use my last name as a registration code, I think you get like 47 cents off the price, and you get my undying gratification and a big hug from me in Boston, and maybe I'll buy some coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. But there's always like a popularity contest between speakers to see who can get the most sign-ups, and so I'm telling people they can put my name in. So go to sptechcon.com, sign up for the Boston SP TechCon, and for your registration promotional link, put KLINDT, and that would be awesome, and I'll see you there. And then a month or so after that, I'm going to be teaching a SharePoint 2010 admin class in Des Moines, Iowa. So that's pretty cool. It's going to be in my own backyard. It's awesome. So if you're in Iowa and want to get up to speed on SharePoint 2010, or if you have always dreamed of going to Iowa, you like live in some crappy place and you're like, oh, I wish I could find an excuse to go to Iowa and hang out for a week. Here's your excuse. I got you covered. Des Moines, Iowa, we're going to have a 5-day SharePoint 2010 class. I'm going to be teaching it myself. It's going to be at the Microsoft office in downtown Des Moines there with a beautiful skyline that has not 1 but 2 skyscrapers in it. So it's going to be a week long. That's going to be September 16th through the 20th. You can go to SharePoint911.com and click the training link and poke around in there, and that will get you signed up for that. If you've got any questions about it, of course, shoot me an email if you want to talk about what topics I'm going to be covering or anything like that. Todd.Klindt@rackspace.com. But that's going to be great. This is the first time I've ever been able to teach a class and sleep at home in my own bed at night, so I'm pretty excited about all that. So I think that's it. We might have some new training things to announce here next week, so stay tuned for that. I think we're going to try to do some webinars again and some other stuff. We haven't got all that finalized, or if we do, I don't have it in my notes from last week. So, because I've already told you I did not make new notes for this week. So, but stay online for that. I'll probably blog that stuff once it happens. So somebody in the chat room used to live in Ames. It's awesome. That's all they're talking about now is how great Ames, Iowa is, which is of course where I come from. So so thanks everybody. Thanks to the chat room. I apologize for the no video, though honestly it seems to be a big hit. Oddly enough, in the chat room they're loving it. And I apologize that I didn't get more stuff in here, but again, I wanted to get this done. I've talked about this before. One of my goals for 2013 was consistency, to do this Netcast as often as I could, whether I was traveling or not. I've not been great about that. I was at both the Tech Eds. I missed it. I'm going to be on vacation in a couple of weeks, and then my wife will kill me if I try to do one. So I felt obligated to do this. I got to do it. So in the chat room, they're just loving on names. I love it. So thanks to everybody. As always, if you've got questions about anything I've talked about in here, you can send me an email, or if you've got topics you'd like to hear me cover, send me an email, todd.Klindt@rackspace.com. You can go to toddklindt.com/netcast to find links to these. You can also subscribe to this on YouTube now. I got my own YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/ToddKlindtNetcast, because Google are a bunch of boogers and I can't have /Todd Klindt. grr. But youtube.com/Todd Klindt Netcast. And that's also in every blog post for my Netcast. I've got a link to the YouTube channel, so you can also subscribe to it there. So thanks to everybody. I will see you see you all next week. I should be good to go for all that. I'll be back at home in my regular studio with my USB problems. It'll be awesome. But see you all next week. Thanks and have a good night.